Raise your hand if you've ever felt stress. All of us, right? Now, raise your hand if you've ever gone to the gym or worked out or done something of some forced physical activity. Well, that is no different than stress. When you go to the gym, what do? Well, we probably engage in activities or movements that are not everyday occurrences for us. These are things that we're not typically used to. I don't know anything in a daily adventure, like throughout my day, that requires the movement of laying on my back and pushing something up. However, at the gym, that's called a bench press. I have never saddled 400 pounds on my shoulders in my living room and seen how far I can get my butt to the ground. However, in the gym, we call that a squat. I have, however, picked dead weight right up off the ground. Mostly a 7-year-old, but he's not 700 pounds. But we call that a deadlift. When we go to the gym, we push ourselves physically. Do we also push ourselves mentally? Some of us do. Some of us go to the gym because you just like the smell. Okay. If you've been to the gym enough, you know when you hit that smell, it triggers something in your mind. You're like, okay, let's go throw some heavy things around. I'm a gym rat. I grew up in a gym. I lift heavy things. I have a gym in my house. Like, I'm not the most physically active that I want to be. However, when it comes to the gym, I love the smell. It gets me in the zone. But we go to the gym to exert stress on our bodies. And every time we lift a heavy weight or we do a movement or a motion that we're not typically doing, it puts our body in stress. And the stress response is our body grows back stronger. In order to gain muscle, right? Big forearms, big biceps, big legs, whatever you want, or just to be toned, you have to stretch your muscles to the breaking point. They physically rip and tear because that's how your muscles grow. As you stretch them, you pull them, you rip them apart. And physically, you become stronger, more adept, right? After you go to the gym for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks, the same movements and the same weight that you did on day one aren't even in the equation anymore because we've grown past it, haven't we? Isn't the goal to increase to get better? So we go to the gym, we work out at home, or we're doing our walking, our running, our bicycling, any physical activity we're doing. You push yourself one more step, one more rep, one more pound, one more thing, and all you've done is you've broken that plateau because now your body has a new stress. It doesn't have to be monumental. It doesn't have to be an extra 100 pounds or an extra 100 miles. The stress change is a factor of 1%. Anything over what you did before is new and better. And what that'll do is it'll stress your muscles, it'll stress your bones, it'll stress the things in your life to the breaking point so that you can build it back stronger. Well, how does that relate to real estate? Well, we oftentimes find ourselves in moments of stress and we buckle down and we collapse and we say, oh my God, I'm just so stressed, right? Anyone ever said that? I'm so stressed out. And we see it as such a negative. We see it as such a downer. It is just pulling from our life force, the stress. What if we looked at it like the gym? Like, this is the world's way of working us out, putting us in stressful situations. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. There's not enough of me. Stressful. Well, every time we do something we're not used to, it stresses us. And just like the gym, we can either keep going and let that stress build us into a bigger and better form of who we were, also known as growth, or we can quit, give up, go back to what was comfortable. When it comes to stress, life, business, the pursuit of goals and dreams, are all going to have things in it that are absolutely stressful. They're going to be things that are not fun. They're going to be things that challenge you. They're going to be things that rip and tear, not only at your muscles, but also your emotions. But how you respond to it can either be something that's tearing me down, or the alternative is something that's building me up. I don't know about you, but I've gone through some pretty stressful things in my life. Some times that I thought I never would be able to do this. I remember the first Zoom meeting I had to do, and I had to curate my energy through a screen. Talk about stressful. I had to show up for hundreds and hundreds of Keller Williams agents when they asked me to do a national call on Zoom. That was stressful. I didn't let it buckle me down. I let it build me up. I let it teach me that I was capable of doing things that I didn't even think myself were capable. Those micro tears in my psyche, my emotions, that my mental muscles were weakened and stretched. But then when they got built back stronger. Anyone ever heard the term been there, done that, got the t-shirt? Anyone else grew up with weird parents like mine? No, clearly. Just a couple of you. My mom used to say it to me all the time, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Every time I would say something like, I'm stressed out, or I'm worried, or I'm nervous, or something like that, it was never, it's okay, honey, it's going to be okay. It was, okay, you're going to be stressed out. Go do it anyways. Because when it's all said and done, you've been there, you've done that, you got the t-shirt. Yeah, I've had a rough listing appointment. I've had a deal fall through. I've had a closing cancel the day of closing. I've had all these things that create massive amounts of stress in our lives. But it also creates that fortitude, the resiliency. It creates better habits, better posturing. It creates better psyche. No longer do you see things as problems, but you see them as opportunities for growth. So I remind you today, your mindset reset for this Monday is to look at stress as a good thing. When you are stressed out about time, I don't have enough time. There's not enough of me. See that as an opportunity to grow your scheduling muscle or your say no muscle. Because oftentimes when we feel stressed about our schedules, because we've said yes to too many things. So go back and look at what things you've said yes to that are not in alignment with your goals or your end result. If you feel stressed about you're not where you want to be, or you don't have the success that you expect of yourself at this moment, see that as an opportunity for growth, for patience. Because in time, all efforts lead to the positive. It's when you give up, things fail. I believe in real estate, you cannot fail. You can only give up. Because if you do the right things long enough, success is a result that is guaranteed. And patience is probably one of the hardest things for agents to have. Well, I got in this business and I haven't sold a house yet. Okay, well, you've been in this business for 3 days. Chill. It's not Chick-fil-A. You're not going to sell 36 sandwiches an hour. Well, I've got this house and this house on the market. They're not moving. Be patient. We know things are changing. Things are coming. Know the market. Like, I personally watch a lot of economist stuff, and I look at reviews and I look at predictions, and I get an idea of what I should expect in 3, 4, 6, 8 weeks from now. Because if you look at the past, it indicates that we have seasonal change. So know where things are. And it's the patience to slow down and say, hey, I'm not where I want to be, but let's look at why. And the biggest stressor of all is when you feel out of control. Like nothing is in your control. Anyone ever felt like that? I can't control this. I don't have any leads. I can't control the market. I can't control people. Well, that's okay. What can you control? Take your thumbs, right? Twist them
Your
backwards.
actions, your activities.
You can control you. 90% of this world is not what happens to us, it's how we respond to it. So that is a big stressor. We put ourselves in a mental place where things happen to us. And that's stressful, right? I'm a target. I'm a target. Everything's happening to me. This deal fell through. This buyer went with another agent. My sister called it her ex roommate's best friend to sell a house instead of me. And we're going to make every excuse in the world to play the victim. And I don't care how strong your mindset is, there are times in your life where that stress will leak in, where you have lost control. See that as an opportunity to grow your fortitude. Because even in opportunities where we are completely lost, out of control, spiraling downwards, it's also an opportunity to grow your vulnerability. Raise your hand. Say, I am fucking lost. I need help. And that is probably one of the biggest stressors for some of my control freaks out there. Being willing to say, I need help. So no matter what stresses are going on in your life, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, spiritually, any of these things, look for the lesson of how it makes you better. I can tell you Thursday night, I was freaking out a little bit because my wife was getting on a plane 12 hours later to fly 6,000 miles away. Not a usually big issue, right? I'm a big boy, I can handle myself. But I have 5 kids, and one of them with severe disabilities. So now I am a sole caregiver. Plus, I now have 4 kids in 3 different schools that get picked up and dropped off at different times. On top of that, I have a business to run. How stressed do you think I was on Thursday? How stressed do you think Jess was for leaving me? But I took it as an opportunity to learn to be a super dad. Yeah, it sucked. I didn't sleep very much Thursday night because I was freaking stressed. I looked at my calendar and I re-looked at my calendar. And I added things to my calendar to remind me to look at my calendar to make sure I didn't miss anything. And you want to know something? Friday, I freaking missed something. But you want to know what I didn't do on Saturday? I didn't repeat it. I took as an opportunity to see how I could improve. And this morning, man, 3 days later, all the kids are off to school. Everyone's fed and happy. And most of them are dressed decently. And I was able to make sure that the house is a little picked up because I'm kind of a neat freak. I can't stand clutter. But when stress hit, I could have buckled and been like, oh, this is stressful. I need a drink. Or I could say, you know what? This is going to be a little bit more work than I was used to. This is going to be one more rep, one more action, one more activity, one more thing on the calendar. And since doing so, I found a better rhythm. But I can see directly how that stress, that pain, that anguish, that how am I going to get this done? How am I going to do this? How am I going to survive? How am I going to be successful? Easily translates into a couple of days later looking back and going, you know what? It's not that bad. It could have been way worse. So I hope you learn from that today. I hope you see something in your life that has been stressing you out and find a way to grow from it. Find a way to develop a better you and evolve. And from that, you're going to look back in a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, hell, maybe even a couple of years. And you're going to look back at this moment and you're going to like, you know what? It wasn't that bad. Something pretty cool came from it. Because all of the stresses we've been through in life, from the moment we were born till now, have created who we are today. And without those stresses, without those trials, those tribulations, those challenges, we would not be who we are today. The good, the bad, or the ugly. So be thankful for challenges. Be thankful for problems. It means you're still alive. And we have to create this resilience, because when things change in our world, we have the resilience to say, you know what? I've been through worse. I'm going to make it through this. And that's what I told Jess Thursday night when she said, how are you going to handle this? Are you going to be okay? I feel guilty leaving. And I told her, baby, don't worry. I've been through worse. I'll get through this too. You go have fun. You deserve this. And I have. I've been through worse. I used to be a senior manager at a large box retail store that has a giant L and 4 letters afterwards that you buy home goods from. And I had 140 kids then, and 139 of them had mental illnesses. Retail workers are a different breed, man, I tell you. But when it comes to stress, be happy for it. Means you're alive, but also see it as a growth. And just like the gym, you can choose to stress yourself out. So find good stresses, find good challenges, find the things that move you from where you are to where you want to be. And that all starts with who. Who you are depends on what you do and how you respond to it. So today, go be stressed in a good way, because we know that tomorrow you will be better than you were today. So not quite a 26-minute rant, but 16 minutes is fine. I want to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you this morning? I saw a lot of head nodding, so that's a good thing. Silence, I like it.
Be blessed to be stressed.
There you go. I like that. Even rhymes. Did you know that everybody has problems? Every socioeconomic group has problems. I don't care if you're butt busted or a billionaire. You're going to have problems. They're just different problems. At the root of it all, it's people. I used to tell, like, I was in the car business. This was 2012, 2011, 2012. And we used to have a saying in my department is people want our problems. Because we would be stressed. Man, I got 4 or 5 appointments coming in today. I'm probably going to have to work until midnight. I'm freaking tired, man. I've been here for 7 days this week. I've sold blah, 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 blah. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Well, yeah, I'm tired because I'm making so much production. I'm tired because I'm making money. People want my problems. Other salespeople on the floor that were not getting deals and were struggling because they weren't doing the things I was doing were stressed because they didn't have money. I was stressed because I didn't have time. There are people out there that want your problems because that means that they're more successful than they are. So look at your problems as a good thing. Success creates more stress. Christina put a bunch of notes in the chat for you guys. Check it out.
I was going to say, yeah, from the CEO Summit, for anybody else, I don't know who else on this call might have been there at Mega Camp, but it was the whole concept of that summit was building toughness and becoming anti-fragile. And they highlighted 7 areas of life where you create intentional stress or you pursue intentional stress. And part of the cycle of it is the recovery from that stress. And it's that cycle of stress recovery that prepares you in the different areas of your life for bigger, harder, more stressful things, like you were saying, Dan, down the line, because then you can cite that and say, well, I've gone through this and I recovered. But a key component for that was recovery. So whether it's from physical activity, you know, having a down day or cold plunging or something like that, to the recovery for emotional, spiritual, you know, having that flip side of the coin.
And here's a great story around it. We talk stories and stuff like that. And Christina's right, is it creates stress for down the line. I don't know if you guys ever heard the story of Milo of Croton. He was a Greek wrestler. And the fable goes that as a young age, Milo used to carry around a newborn steer on his shoulders every single day. And he'd carry the steer on his shoulders every single day, continue carrying it because it made him stronger. And every day the steer got bigger, and every day he'd put him on his shoulder. And the story is used to illustrate the progressive growth of strength and resilience over time. Because every day he'd carry this baby steer, the steer would get heavier and he'd get stronger. And every day he'd get heavier, or the steer would get heavier and he'd get stronger, until one day he's walking around with a full-grown steer on his back because he was strong enough to handle the weight. What would happen if someone tried to just to pick up a full-grown steer right now? Probably wouldn't work in their favor, would it? But if we work up to that physically, you know, bit by bit, piece by piece, meal by meal, you could create strength and resiliency to carry the metaphorical steer on your back. It's a really good thing she put in the chat here. So the 7 areas for stress that test your toughness. If you guys don't pull this out of the chat, you need to. 1, physical. We already talked about physical. It's your gym. 2, mental. That's what we do on this call a lot, mindset. 3, emotional. Understanding emotions is probably one of the toughest things for some generations. Spiritual, financial, relationship, and business. Find ways to challenge those 7 ideas. Now, funny thing is those 7 ideas, or those 7 areas of stress, also directly relate to the 7 circles of a balanced life from the one thing. Interesting how that works. When we stress and grow ourselves in the 7 areas of a balanced life, do we not have a better life? Now, when we say stress, some people think the negative, like, oh, it has to be stressing. But like the gym, it could be just one more movement. It could be one more activity. It could be one more class that you take that'll help your business. It could be one more couples retreat that you go on with your spouse to help your relationship. It could be one more chapter in the Bible that you read, or one more article that you read about what's happening in the real estate market that will stress your mind or grow you to become a stronger and more developed individual. So great. Thank you for sharing that, Christina. Funny how they tie along to the conversation this morning. I'll tell you where this came from. Is last night I'm laying in bed at like 10:45 at night. I just talked to my wife because, you know, 9-hour difference. So I'm going to bed. She's getting up. And we talked for a little bit. She just asked me how things are. I'm like, things are good. And I can hear the stress in her voice. And I was like, you know what, baby, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. You'll be fine. Don't worry about us. We got this. And it reminded me of David Goggins when he talks about enjoy the suck, embrace the suck. Because life's going to suck. You're going to go through things that aren't fun. Enjoy them. Because on the other side of every shitty situation I've ever been in was something pretty cool. And I started looking forward to it. Yeah, I was heartbroken and I was hurt and I was broken in those moments. But I knew deep down inside, I knew if I looked at this the right way, something better was on the other side of this storm. So Keller Williams has this philosophy like be a buffalo, right? Be a bison. Why are we bisons in Buffalo?
Charge the storm.
Charge the storm. Bisons know that there's something better on the other side of the storm. And instead of standing around like a cow waiting for the storm to pass, they charge through it knowing that I'm going to get there faster. This shitty day is going to be here regardless if I run through it or not. I might as well run through it and get through it faster. I'm going to break it down less metaphysical. The dishes are going to suck regardless if you wash them or not. So just get them done. Get them out of the way so they're no longer in your view. The laundry needs to get done. You can either do it now or you can struggle the rest of your week not having clean clothes. Everything we do is a decision that either creates or alleviates stress. Embrace the suck. Just know that stress is going to happen, and we can either let it cripple us or build us. So when you find these challenges in life, you find these challenges in real estate, you're going to find some pretty cool stuff on the other side. If you find yourself in a place where you're not stressed, you're complacent, everything's going great, look out. There's a big train of FU coming. And it usually comes when you least expect it. So if we're always expecting stress, we're always expecting challenges, we're always there, we're good, we're ready, we're on our toes, duck and roll, baby. Duck and roll. All right, any thoughts, comments, questions before we kick off? Hell of a Monday, right? Let's go get stressed. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow. High five from way back.